Hey boys and girls, today we're going to look at the fantasy fiction genre again, and we're going to decide what parts of a book bring that book into this specific genre. First thing we need to do is review what is the definition of the fantasy fiction genre. Fantasy fiction is a genre of stories that contain made-up characters, plot, and or setting. The elements are highly unreal and often magical. Those are the same three elements we talked about with realistic fiction: characters, plot, and setting. Now, in order for a book to be part of the realistic fiction genre, it needed to have all three components being believable and realistic. Fantasy fiction's a little different. Those three parts, character, setting, plot, don't all need to be fake in order for them to be part of this fantasy fiction genre. Only one of them needs to be, but it could contain more. For example, if you have a book where the setting could exist in real life, it's a place you could go, and the characters seem like realistic things, realistic people or animals, but the storyline is seeming really not realistic and there's magic, that brings that book into the fantasy fiction genre. So a fantasy fiction book could have all three of those parts, made up and unreal, two of them, or even just one of them to bring it into our genre today. And our big focus today is we're going to look at books and figure out that writers write about things that cannot happen in the real world. We're going to look at two specific books I love, and then I'm going to read you a book for your assignment today. Okay, let's get started. The first book we're going to analyze is my favorite book of all time. The whole series is my favorite series, but the first one is truly my favorite book, and I could read it over and over and over and over again. And those of you in my class or know me really well, you know this is my favorite book, The Day the Crayons Quit. It makes me laugh, it makes me cry, it just makes me want to read it over and over and over again, because every time I read it, it's just as funny as the first time. So I decided to read it last night to my kids before bed, and we started talking about it. What in this book could happen in real life and what couldn't happen? When thinking about things that couldn't happen in the book, the kids were really having a great time, and it was easy for them to think of different things. But when we started thinking about things that could happen, that was where the challenge came up. So, for example, I said though, do you guys ever feel sad or angry? I do. So we noticed that in the book, the crayons feel that way, and we could always feel that way as well. The whole book is all about how the crayons feel like Duncan doesn't appreciate them, and they're upset about it, and they want to voice those concerns. That's something that can happen in real life with people. But our characters, the crayons, coming to life and talking, could not happen. I wish it could. How great would it be to hear from your crayons when you're coloring with them? I would find it amazing, but unfortunately it cannot happen. The next series I want to talk about is another one you hopefully are familiar with, the Harry Potter series. I know many of you have either read these books, listened to them on audio, maybe seen the movies, or even just heard about them. They're great books to really get into. And I read a chapter last night to kind of refresh myself on what in that chapter could happen or couldn't happen. And in that chapter, Ron, Harry, and Hermione were in the courtyard hanging out, doing their homework. I said, wow, this feels like a normal day at Willow River. We all go to school. Even right now, we're going remotely. We spend time with our friends. We don't have a courtyard, but we have a playground, and in the two elements, they feel a lot alike. But there was a ghost in the story. Not something that's happening in real life. And then when they were doing their homework, they were working on different spells and different magical elements that they had for homework that day. Do I assign you guys homework that involves spells or any type of magic? No, just reading and writing usually, sometimes a little math too. But that's definitely something that I know a lot of us want to believe in. Magic is so fun to believe in, and it's amazing just to blow our minds out of the water. But as of right now, it's not something we can believe in and see as everyday life things, and it can't happen. So therefore, that brings that book into the fantasy fiction genre. So today I'm going to read you a funny book that we like to read at our house. The book I specifically picked because Johannes told me how he put eggs in an incubator and he's hoping for some chicks soon. And it's that time of year. Spring chicks are happening. So we're going to read Chickens to the Rescue. While I'm reading, I want you to analyze my text and figure out what in this book could be happening in real life, but what makes it part of that fantasy fiction genre. Okay? Let's get started. On Monday, Farmer Greenstock dropped his watch down the well. Oh, yikes. Chickens to the rescue! Didn't expect that. Those are some chickens, said Farmer Greenstock. On Tuesday, Mrs. Greenstock was too tired to make dinner. Chickens to the rescue! What dear chickens you are, said Mrs. Greenstock. On Wednesday, the dog ate Jeffrey Greenstock's book report that was due the next morning. I remember when Harper's dog ate her homework one time. It really does happen in real life. But no worry, because chickens to the rescue! Smart chickens, said Jeffrey Greenstock. On Thursday, Ernie, the duck, drove off with the farmer's truck. Chickens to the rescue! Quack, said Ernie. On Friday, a big wind blew Milky the cow into a tree. Chickens to the rescue! Moo, said Milky. On Saturday, the sheep wandered off and got lost. Oh no. Say it with me. Chickens to the rescue! Bah, said the sheep. On Sunday, Emily Greenstock spilt her breakfast all over the floor. Big mess here, if anyone's listening, she said. Where are those chickens? The Greenstocks went out to the chicken coop. The chickens were fast asleep. Sleep well, said Emily. You've earned it. All right, so boys and girls, your homework today is to, like I said, go either to Google Classroom or email your teacher, depending on what method they prefer. And you're gonna tell them at least one thing from this book, Chickens to the Rescue, that could happen in real life. But then I want you also to email one thing at least, I know there's a lot of things that could not happen in real life and why this is part of the fantasy fiction genre. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Bye, guys.